Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So here with me today I have the Girl of the Year doll for 2021 from American Girl, Baily. So as you guys may know, she visits Australia to stay with her aunt for a little while who works at an animal sanctuary. So today I'm going to be making Australian damper bread, which is something that she might have eaten while she was in Australia. So here are the ingredients that you're going to need. Baking powder, flour, salt, softened butter, and then you're going to need a teaspoon for the salt and the baking powder. And then you're going to need a knife because you only need 2 tablespoons of the butter. And you're going to need milk too. And then you're also going to need measuring cups and a bowl to put them in, and then a tray to bake it on. So here's what you're going to want to do to start with. First, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, which I have already done. Next, you are going to take your 2 cups of flour, and you can use any type of flour, but all-purpose flour works best. So you're going to take 2 cups of flour and pour it into the bowl. Keep in mind this might get a little bit messy, so you might want a parent nearby to help. And you're going to want to make sure that you get the exact amount. So I'm going to use my knife to clear off the top of it to make sure that I get the exact amount. Then you're going to pour that into the bowl. This is 1 cup. No, that's actually 2 cups. I did not know you could do 2 cups in here. Okay, so that's 2 cups of my flour. And then next you are going to take your baking powder and your salt, and you are also going to put those in there. So you're going to want a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to take a teaspoon of my baking powder, and then the baking powder will help it grow in the oven. And the salt will give it a little bit of the extra flavor and saltiness, I guess. And then you're going to put that all into the bowl. And then you are going to get a whisk or a spoon, and you are just going to whisk those all together so that they're all mixed in well. Next, you're going to take your 2 tablespoons of softened butter. And since mine isn't exactly salted, I'm just going to put it in the microwave for a little bit. Pause the video. Okay, so my butter is now softened, and I'm actually going to put on an apron because I should have done that in the start, but I forgot. So putting on an apron is very important, especially because right now I'm wearing a black dress and I am using flour, and it's going to get very dirty because we are using flour and we have to put some on your surface. Then you're going to pour the butter in, and you can usually use a fork or something, but for this I am going to use just my hands, and you're going to try to get them all crushed together so it's sort of crumbly. So that's what I'm going to do. So then you're just going to keep pushing it together so that it's almost this crumbly texture. And for people who don't like to get their hands dirty, you can just use a fork or a pastry blender. Alright, so that's pretty crumbly. You can tell because it's got like these little crumbles. And then next, you are going to take, I'm going to put them all together, so I'm just going to go like this. And you are going to make a little, sort of like a well in the middle of it. And you are going to put your 1 cup of milk in there. You're going to put your 1 cup of milk right into that little well. And it might spill out, but that's fine. Next, we're going to take a spoon and you're just going to mix it all together. So that it's sort of like this gooey mixture. And then the more you mix it, the more it becomes harder to mix. Okay, that should be mixed enough. And then next you are going to come over to your surface and you are going to pour some flour on whatever surface you're using so that it won't stick to that surface. So I just put some flour in there. And then you are going to take your bread that's in the bowl and you're just going to put it onto the stove. Or that's what I'm using is my stove because we do have grooves in our countertop. So you're going to put it onto whatever surface you are using. And you are just going to mix it all together. You might want to add a little bit of flour so that it doesn't mix to your hands too. You're just going to mix it all together. Now, it's going to expand a lot in the oven. I learned that the first time that I did this. It's going to expand a lot in the oven. A lot. But by the time it's done, it should be enough for maybe 3 people. So while you're adding some flour, you're just going to knead the dough. Now, you can knead the dough a few different ways. You can put your hands like this together and you can just knead it that way. Or some people knead it with just their hands like that. And other people just flip it over and push down. Flip it over and push down. So you're just going to knead the dough until it looks like softened. And this is why you're going to want to have flour underneath because it does get pretty messy. And then it won't stick to the stove like that. Then this is really good to have with honey or jam or even just butter as a side to go with something that you're eating, like soup. Now this is something that Kira mentions in her book, that she does eat bread for breakfast. So this is something that they might have had because it is Australian damper bread. So once it looks pretty smooth like this, then you are going to take it and you're just going to put it into a little ball. And this is when the knife part comes in again, because you are going to take it and you're just going to put an X on the top, like that. And then you are going to take that round-ish loaf for me, and you are going to move it over to your baking pan. This one is pretty big, but all of our other baking pans are dirty right now. And then you are going to take yours and you are going to go and put it in the oven. And this might bake for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes on 350. And then after that, you are going to want to put it onto 325. And you are going to leave it in there for about 20 minutes. And then, or even it can just be until it's like lightish brown on the top. So I'm going to put this in the oven and let it bake.